Deb. Today we're outside in the garden and I wanted to share with you a little experiment that I did this year. In March I came out with a whole bunch of potatoes that had been hanging around in the doorway to the cellar where it's a little bit cool, and they were from last year. And I saw there was a couple little eyes on them, and I said, you know, I'm going to take these potatoes out. I'm just going to throw them in the ground and see what happens. A couple of years before, I had been in my other garden, and I looked down, and it was October, and I said, those look like potatoes. I said, but how could there be potatoes? I never planted anything there. So I pulled it up, and lo and behold, there was a whole pile of potatoes. A potato peel must have dropped somehow, and it just seeded itself and grew. It was astonishing. So this year, I thought I would actually try to plant some on purpose and see if we could get some potatoes. So what I did is I took these potatoes, I cubed them in quarters, and I came outside and just dug some holes and threw them in, really thinking that, you know what, nothing was ever going to happen. And it took about a month, but I came out and there were potatoes growing. And how potatoes grow, if you guys don't know, they're tubers and they grow under the ground. And what comes up on top is, you know, the lush greenery that I guess it pulls the night. I don't know what it does. The sun goes through the leaves, and I don't know, it creates it to grow. So what I did is I looked on YouTube, which is what, you know, I'm doing with these videos, and I looked at some professional farmers and what they did with their potatoes after they started to grow, because I thought, how the heck do I know when these potatoes are ready? So they are starting to flower, and what I learned is when they start to flower, I don't know if you can see them or not, those flowers will be open probably in a couple days, you're supposed to hill them. And so what we're going to do, we're going to cut some rows in the field that we have and get some mulch. And if you ever want to mulch anything, see, I take all my grass clippings and I mulch my garden. And what that does is, why don't you show them the tomatoes over here? What that does is it prevents weeds from growing. So you just take all your grass clippings when they're green or whatever, you throw them all around your plants, and these are our tomato plants, which we have some flowers on right now, and you throw them around. Now, it does a couple of things. It breaks down, when it's green, it's pure nitrogen, so you don't want to put it totally around the plant because you could actually burn the stems and the leaves with the pure nitrogen. But as it breaks down, it turns into brown matter. So what that's doing is it's creating its own little fertilizer for the plants. So you get rid of your weeds. As you can see, there's no weeds in here. And I do that all during the summer. I just keep, when we mow the grass, we just take the sweeper and throw those grass clippings right around all of our plants, and it really does a great job. So what we're going to do is go to the field, and we're going to cut a few rows, and we'll go around and we'll sweep that, and then we're going to mulch up, we're going to hill our potatoes. And what we're supposed to do is hill them up about halfway. And what that's supposed to do now is create more stems that will grow out of the sides of the plant and create more potatoes. So not only do you get potatoes underneath the earth, but you're supposed to get potatoes inside that mulch. I did cut a few rows yesterday because I didn't want to put totally green matter right on top of those stems. So we're going to work on that and show you how to do it. Now the other notation you do, which is very important when you're mulching, is you want to cut it before anything goes to seed. So if you have weeds out there, it's really okay as long as they have not gone to seed, because what will happen then is those seeds you're going to carry those back into your garden, and they're actually going to grow the weeds. So you don't want that. So we cut that off, we let it sit for a day, and we're going to sweep it, and we'll show you how to mulch those potatoes in just a few minutes. mowed a couple rows, and I did that because I wanted to show you the difference between, you know, obviously fresh cut grass, which everybody knows, and red grass that's ready to be mulched. This is too green. Okay, in here you really could get a lot of very strong nitrogen, and it could burn the plant. But I mowed this yesterday, and you can see how it's light and fluffy and really ready to go into the garden. You know, if you're going to rake it up and stuff too, it's a whole lot lighter, so it's a lot easier to do. Now, we have about, I don't know, maybe a 5-acre field here, and what we do is we keep part of it maintained on our own, and then we leave part of it to the rabbits and whatever else is out there. There's wonderful clover and buttercups and all kinds of stuff, along with a lot of weeds. But what that does for us is it helps to keep the wildlife out of our garden. It gives them forage and it gives them something to eat. And then sometime during the summer, the farmer comes along and he mows it down for us, and then we have some mulch hay if we need it for something. So we're going to go ahead and sweep some of this up, and we'll show you how to mulch those potatoes. So I wanted to give you a little example of what we leave for the wildlife. Here's some, it's very beautiful too, this clover that the bunnies love, and we've got some crown vetch, we've got some weeds. You know, we have a whole conglomerate of stuff in here that it does help, we have found, to keep the rabbits out of the garden. As long as you give them something to eat someplace else, you know, you've got a pretty good chance of keeping them away. It's not, you know, set in stone, but yeah, it does help.
Okay. So there's a deer out in the middle of the field, and as you can see, it's foraging in the area that is high with the grass. So it's got lots of clover, and there's the place that I cut the other day. So you can see that my theory of giving them something to eat, I can't keep the camera steady here. My theory of giving them something to eat is kind of valid. You know, they are staying away from the garden, and they're feeding where there's lots of good stuff. So, you know, I don't like to see them go hungry. They're beautiful animals. We never would hurt them. And there's actually a pair of them out there. I don't know where the other one is.
Hey guys, I just want to show you something. This is something my grandmother called Doc. I really don't know what the name of it is. That's what I call it because she called it. This is the worst thing you could ever have anywhere, so you always want to cut it down. Now remember what I said about the seeds. You want to get this whacked off before it's gone to seed. Otherwise, it's going to spread like wildfire. So, you know, I have been cutting it a little at a time, but some escapes you, and you can see some of the seeds have already let loose. Excuse me, and I'm also allergic to it. I hope the black and white butterfly up there, you see it? There it go. Oh, now it's over there. It's tiny, tiny. You see it at the edge?
No. Oh, yeah.
Tiniest little thing. Now the other thing, you know, is if I see that black and white butterfly over there. We have lots of butterflies, all different kinds. We have lots of bees. There's been a real decrease in the bee population, and I personally think it's because of all the chemicals that people use. We are totally organic. We do not use any kind of chemicals in our gardens or on our lawns, no weed killers, nothing. I think if you keep a pretty good ecosystem, you know, they kind of take care of themselves. Yeah, we get some bugs, and we do have some problems, but you know, things do rebound. We have lots and lots of birds. We have bird houses all around the gardens and the property. Those birds pay us back way more than what we give by eating the bugs and keeping the slugs and stuff off of your gardens. Now, I did find a potato beetle, Colorado potato beetle, on those potatoes, and I immediately killed it. That's something you really don't want. You'll destroy your crop, you know, in a day. So there are things you'll have to be mindful of when you're growing a garden. But you know, if you try to keep your birds and your bees, make sure you know you keep the buttercups and you keep some dandelions in the spring, because the bees come when the warmer weather just begins, and they have to have something to eat. If they don't have any kind of flowers to feed on, you will not get those bees back to pollinate your squash and to pollinate your tomato plants and all the things that need those pollinations. So, leave a few dandelions. It's not going to kill you, and pull them up when they've gone to seed. We're going to be back at the garden in a few minutes, and we'll see you then. So I think we're fairly well mulched here. Each plant has a pretty good depth. And when this begins to break down, maybe in a week or two, probably a couple of weeks at least, we'll have to do it again, and you keep mounding it and mounding it. Hopefully it'll work. If not, I don't know what'll happen. We're going to find out. I know we'll have some potatoes under the ground. Now right now, when the potatoes are starting to flower, that means you're going to have in the ground something, like a little fingerling potato. You'll probably have something about this size, maybe a little bit bigger, but that's how you know when there's something is beginning to grow, is when they start to flower. So I hope you've enjoyed this segment. I hope you get something out of it, and I love to experiment, and we're going to find out what happens with our nice red potatoes. October, maybe. See you next time.